Hey guys, the most beautiful thing about building your own car is that you get to customize it to your own needs. And today we are really happy and privileged to have a unique car in the Kenyan market space, or rather a very unique build. It's a build that has been customized to go anywhere off-road and also blend into the urban setup. It's an American vehicle, and we are going to be giving you an up-close and candid review of this vehicle because Auto Connect is that channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. I'll be taking you through this review. Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. You can follow me at a personal level on my socials, Eric Wakabi on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. My handle is Eric Wakabi, and don't forget Eric with a CK. And now let's get up close and candid with the 2017 Jeep Wrangler. I would like to start this review by explaining something. Well, many times people confuse between the Jeep Wrangler and the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Now, this is a Wrangler, but what of the Rubicon? The Rubicon is the top trim of the Jeep Wrangler, and it's off-road oriented. And the difference between the Wrangler and the Wrangler Rubicon is the Rubicon comes with electronically locking diffs. It also comes with heavy-duty axles and also sway bars that you can detach. Okay, so that's the major difference between the Wrangler and the Wrangler Rubicon. Well, this right here is a 2017 Wrangler, but it's not your stock Wrangler because some modifications have been done to it because the owner thought of customizing this car to suit his needs. One, if you're going off-road, many are the times that you'll find most off-road rigs and even most Jeeps will come with a bull bar, but this one doesn't have a bull bar. Instead, the owner of this vehicle decided to do one thing: replace the whole front end with steel plates and later powder coat them to give you this. So the entire front end is basically steel. So if you're going off-road in this vehicle and hit something, then you're not going to have any damage. And at the front end, we also have a winch attached to it. The main purpose of the winch is, you can be able to get yourself out of any sticky, muddy or rocky situation. And now, what this has done, it has added a lot of weight to the front end of this vehicle. And to be able to counter that, what has been done is that the engine has got a tune to give it a little bit more power, and the suspension as well. It has a suspension upgrade. It's running on a Fox suspension setup, but Moses, our resident engineer, will come to explain the suspension setup of this car because it's quite unique. And now that we have talked about the engine, I would like us to see what is under the hood of this Wrangler. Yeah, under the hood of this Wrangler is a 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 engine. Now, the Pentastar engines are made by Chrysler, and now transmitting power to the wheels is an 8-speed torque flight automatic transmission. And a lot has been done to make sure that it gets sufficient power to the wheels to try and carry this weight. Now, if it's coming stock, the 3.6 Pentastar will give you around 285 horsepower and around 382 Newton meters of torque. But this one has been stepped up a little bit to try and carry the weight that is on the front end. And also with all this weight and also the tires that are on this vehicle, there would be a lot of vibration, but that has been countered through the whole front suspension setup. And Moses again is going to give us an up close and candid explanation of the suspension setup on this particular car. And now that you have talked about the engine, I would like us to look at the side profile of this Jeep. And one thing that you will notice about it is that it has very wide tires. These are muddies, and you get yourself some very elegantly red fuel rims. Yeah, so they pop up a little bit, and that gives this Jeep a mean look. And now we should also talk about the headlights, because this Jeep has, this very aggressive and mean look. It looks tough. It looks it's a mean machine. And what the owner has done with this vehicle is that there are these 7-inch round headlights that can change the shade of light that they are emitting through, changing them through your mobile phone. And that is quite clever. And talking about the clever techniques on this car, or the clever tech that has come with this vehicle, now I would like Andy to come closer. There is this little number pad right here. So, it's a keyboard, it's some sort of keyboard. So what you do with this car is, if you forget your keys at home, what you'll only do is that you'll just come, enter your password, and the vehicle will open. And now, most people might ask, if the vehicle opens, how do I start it? Well, this is the most intelligent bit about this Wrangler. It has both the key slot and push to start. So there are two of them, key slot and push to start. So if you forget your keys, or if you lose your keys, you'll just open it through the keyboard on the windshield by keying in your password, and then you're going to use the push to start function to start this vehicle. Interesting, right? The interior comes factory with a roll cage, which is quite impressive since this car is going off-road. And also, this top right here, just like most Jeeps, is detachable. And so if you detach this, then you also have to switch the configurations of the roll cage inside here. If you look at the paint, it's nice and rough, and it's perfect for off-road, so you don't have to really worry about getting scratched. Well, the Wrangler has a split tailgate, and one thing, if you look at any other 2017 Wrangler, you'll notice that it doesn't have this, and they look quite stylish. And you have these marker lights all around, and marker lights help with marking the height of your vehicle and also increased visibility. So here is the split tailgate, and then you have this part right here, which again is detachable, but you can still open it after pushing this all out. And through this you can see the roll cage at the back here, and also the sound system, because this vehicle comes with a crazy sound system. And the owner wanted something that will blend into his urban lifestyle and also going anywhere. And the results are quite impressive. But if you want a Jeep built to your custom specifications, he also does that. So he can assist you with this. And this is what happens when you change, or rather you take your passion to be a business. One thing about the tailgate is it's very, 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 very heavy. The other thing is that we have these Oedro rear bumpers, and again they are steel, and they got rid of the stock bumpers, and they got these very strong recovery hooks in case you're towing someone or you're being towed from the rear. So especially guys who take their cars off-road will get to appreciate these things. They may look tiny, but they are not for decorations, no. This car goes to very, very, very extreme regions. Now I want us to take a tour of the interior, show you a few things that this vehicle has and what it can do, and also how it drives. And then next we are going to discuss the most important bit of this vehicle. What makes it not have vibrations? What makes it have maximum wheel articulation when it's going off-road? Because if you look at the angle that front tire is on, well, it tells you that you don't have your usual conventional suspension. Tuingie ndani. This Wrangler, it looks like a hardcore off-road vehicle, but with a touch of luxury and technology as well, since most off-roaders are actually quite basic and they are bare bone. Well, this one has been able to encompass that. You have some LED lighting on the steering wheel, you have steering controls, you have these handles that are attached to the roll cage, because this car has some serious clearance. So they are put to good use when you're boarding and alighting on this car. Then you get a nice infotainment system, and also now this is the conventional gear shifter. It has Jeep engraved on it, and this is the 4-wheel shifter for the transfer. So you have 2 high, 4 high and 4 low, just like any other kawaida four-wheel drive. But the interior of it feels very, very hardcore off-road, and even the sitting point and the boxy the boxy windscreen actually gives it a hammerish kind of feel. Now we want to start it, and there is something interesting about starting this Jeep. Well, when you start it, it says car robot predator, do not follow the crowd. Yeah, because this car will take you to places, this rig will take you to places that other conventional vehicles will not take you. So that is why it says predator, do not follow the crowd. Then you have a really nice infotainment system that has Android and Apple CarPlay, so you can easily sync what is in your phone through the infotainment system. A very, very nice build, although some of this is actually a Stinger infotainment system. And then you get the rear view mirror actually has a camera on the tailgate that will give you a very good view of the rear without being distracted by the massive spare wheel at the back. And then you have a very serious sound system. You have speakers up here, two of them. You have a subwoofer and a serious woofer at the back. So the music on this one is quite good. And then starting it, it does sound really, 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 really awesome. I told you that the steering wheel has these LED lights. It also has a small screen right here at the top whereby you can read the engine RPMs and the speed. So it doesn't have heads-up display, but it has something that maybe would be better compared to a heads-up display. It has this small screen that will tell you the engine RPMs and also the speed you're driving at. Also on the steering wheel, you can change what is on this screen right here. You can read your tire pressure, you can read revs. There's a whole lot of things that you can read on this small screen right here. If you play around with these buttons on the steering wheel, you can actually get, and this is very good four-wheel drive information, you can get the screen to drive line whereby you can monitor where the torque is coming from. You'll be able to see the rear diff, the center diff, and the front diff as well. So right now it's telling me 100% torque is going to the rear. So if you engage it into four-wheel, you'll be able to see where this torque is split. For instance, let me just put it in 4 high. So if I put it in 4 high, it locks the center diff and it takes 50% of torque to the front wheels and 50% of torque to the rear wheels. So it's very interesting technology. So now if I put it back to 2 high, it now sends 100% of the torque to the rear wheels. The other thing on the vehicle settings tab on the cluster is that you can be able to diagnose the fault codes that your ECU is showing. So if you have a check engine, you can actually check out the code on the fault codes tab. Let's call it the tab. Now, apart from the fault codes, other things you can do with the cluster is that on the settings section is that you can look at even the vehicle's pitch and roll orientation. Now, this is for hardcore off-roaders. You can also check the fuel consumption, although since this is an American unit, it gives the fuel consumption in miles per gallon. I think for Kenyans, we prefer kilometers to the liter. Then distance to empty, you can reset your trip still from here. And then one interesting thing, you have the engine runtime, like how long the engine has ran. So then you also get a stopwatch, so in case you want to time how fast you're going from 0 to 100, you get the stopwatch right here. And then time and date. And also you have the cluster info or the infotainment info, because these are Predator car robot unit, and you can also get updates. You can actually update it from here, and it says the last time it was updated was January 22nd. Interesting. So technology is actually catching up with us. You also have alarm settings, you have safety belt, tire pressure, airbag, horn sound. Yes, you can actually change the horn sound. You can turn off the electronic stability control, especially if you are going off-road. Well, it's a car that has quite a lot, and it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. It has a hill start assist system that you can turn on from the cluster as well. Now this is for when you're going up very steep inclines, and you can be able to either turn it off or turn it on again from the cluster. So this car robot unit actually has a lot that will come in handy if you're driving this car both off-road and on-road. So right now it's off. Then you have headlight delay time. Headlight delay time is probably what we would call follow me home lights. Like you get home, you shut down the car, but the headlights remain open so that when you're going into the house, they'll illuminate your way until maybe you can set them to delay for like 30 seconds or 40 seconds, how much time you actually want to delay them. And well, it's a vehicle that is drenched in tech. Now the Wrangler is designed to fit in both on-road and off-road conditions. So that is why on the cluster, if on the instrument cluster, if you take it to mode, you can actually come and set. Now you get several modes here. You get road mode, you get climb mode, you get snow mode, mud mode, and sand mode. So sand mode would be good if you're driving to Chalby Desert or any other sandy regions. The mud mode is when you're going to extreme mud. The snow mode, well, not unless you live in Kinangop or Limuru, you would not be using this in Kenya. And there is climb mode, especially when you're going to rock crawling or you're going up very steep ascents or hills. And then you have the road mode. Now this is the mode whereby it makes the suspension comfortable for on-road use. Remember, these modes tweak both the transmission and the suspension. And now we'll talk about the suspension. This vehicle features adaptive suspension. It becomes stiffer or harder depending on where the vehicle is driving across. I know most of you guys thought that this cluster actually comes stock with the vehicle. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is the original cluster that came with the vehicle. So this car robot unit is actually aftermarket. Yes, and this is what the owner of this car does. He builds Jeeps so that they can give you that tailor-made look or those tailor-made needs that you need. Like you see all those modes you can switch from. You've seen everything that you can see, even tire monitoring systems, the driveline monitoring system, the diagnostics, applications that, you can scan your vehicle's fault codes using the cluster. That's a lot of investment in terms of, putting these as an aftermarket product. Imagine how nice that looks, and it came with this. It's called the art and passion of building. From this to that. So next, I'm going to call our resident engineer, not mechanical, our resident engineer to come and talk about the suspension on this car because that is quite interesting. Now for the suspension bit, this vehicle has very big tires and very wide ones, and also it has a lot of weight at the front, and for that, to make this vehicle maneuverable and quite comfortable, you need a good suspension system, and that is why we have Mose, our chief engineer. Huyu akuange makanika lakini sometimes anapendanga kuitwa Thika Road juu ako chini ya maji. Anyway, Mose,
yes.
Mambo
poa sana bwana Eric.
Today we have a Jeep American technology.
Yes.
And I want us to talk about suspension. Maybe
suspension
quick
unit.
One.
Yeah.
Very big tires, mud terrain, very heavy ones, increased wheel resistance.
And rolling resistance.
A rolling resistance, yes.
And dead weight.
Yeah. Also, we have a lot of, now this is sprung weight.
Yes.
So this is heavily dependent on suspension.
Yes.
The gearbox and the other components down there are unsprung weight. So we might experience a lot of vibrations on this car, but when you drive it, it's actually very, very, very comfortable. So how have they been able to achieve that through the suspension? Tell us about the suspension.
Okay, this suspension, first of all, you'll notice that it's a solid axle.
Solid axle.
Solid axle.
Front axle.
Yeah, solid axle means you have an axle crossing from this end to the other end of the vehicle. These were the old suspensions of of the manufacturing industries in automotive. And initially, they were usually coupled by a leaf spring suspension.
Yes.
On this one, we have a coil spring. Coil, you can see the coil suspension. And this one is on the leaf spring suspension. The deflection of the spring is usually very uncomfortable in the vehicle. For this one, the coils usually absorb the spoke, the movement. A spring is a unit that is used to store energy. Once you deflect it, it stores energy, and then after the deflection, it releases the energy. So the design aspect of too many coil springs, too many coils on the coil springs, make it more comfortable while riding. Let me talk about the steering,
yes.
the steering system. You will notice, cause steering, you will have this is a kingpin assembly.
Yes.
This one, and this on the other end, a kingpin assembly. It's supposed to suspend the hub,
yes.
and it's supposed to allow the wheel to turn on either sides. So you will find that this vehicle is equipped with these forks dampers. These dampers usually are meant to dampen the road irregularities when driving.
Yes.
Mark you, this vehicle, you're going to push it off full throttle on a tough terrain.
Yes.
On the wheel, you're going to feel back the vibrations back to the steering wheel, because the power steering is not meant for such heavy dampening.
Yes.
So these fork dampers are used here to dampen the motion of the vibrations back to the steering wheel.
Yes.
So it dampens before the power steering dampens. Therefore, you have a comfort feel on the wheel. On the other hand, you will find that this vehicle is equipped with a stabilizer bar.
Yes.
This is supposed to allow some articulation, a bit of articulation on this end. We have links, and in specifically to this one, you will see here, Eric, that this vehicle is not using a CV joint. This is a universal joint, but well designed for constant velocity. At constant velocity, we mean that regardless of the angle the wheel is turned, it's going to deliver the motion that's supposed to be there at that moment. It's not going to lose. Generally, that's it. Eric, hapa naona kama tumemaliza.
Tumemaliza. Na by the way, before tuende kwa suspension ya nyuma, we need to tell guys we are offering pre-purchase inspection.
Yes.
Unaona hivyo wenye tunachambua hiyo suspension ya mbele tukiwa na
hivyo ndio tunachambuanga.
Ndio tunachambua hata gari tukifanya pre-purchase inspection. So as Moses says, usinunue gari kama mbuzi. Hata mbuzi waangaliwa meno. Anyway, let's look at the rear suspension. Yeah.
On that heat, we also need to talk about this double chamber shock absorber.
Yes.
This stores more air on this space, so allows a bigger large of deflection.
Yes.
So you get the dampening effect regardless of the wheel articulation. Usually is used on 4x4s and guys who are going off-road.
Extreme off-road.
Yes, very, very extreme.
Can I ask a question,
yes.
Mose?
Yes.
This vehicle has adaptive suspension, meaning it can adjust the harshness or the stiffness or the softness of this suspension depending on the mode it is on. We have seen it has road mode, snow mode, mud mode, climb mode, and a few others. And all of them have different variations in the stiffness of the suspension. Does the double chamber shocks help with that?
Yes. What it does, you're going to storm. What you are altering when you're altering the modes, the stiffness of the suspension. You're altering how much pressure you're building up on these chambers.
Yes.
If you want it to move easily, you're going to relieve the pressure.
Okay.
If you want it to be tough, you're going to inflate it to higher pressures. That's all. It will regulate at specific levels based on your requests.
Nice.
And based on the manufacturer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. So the rear suspension, I can see we have, it has a ladder chassis.
Yes.
It's body on frame.
Yeah, body on frame.
And from what I can see here, let me just funga the tailgate. Ndio tuweze kuona hapa Mr. Moses. Rear suspension.
On this design, they've used a very simple design on this car. I think mostly because I think this vehicle is not meant for carry load. Yes. What they have here is just like the front. We have a stabilizer bar and the coil springs. Again and again and again and again, you're going to say it's a solid axle, end to end. Other than that, I think it's all up.
It's quite simple.
Yeah, very, very simple. In fact, the only thing they've added here are the shock absorbers for dampening. But it's a solid axle and then coil springs on top.
Sawa. So now, tumemaliza hapo suspension ya nyuma. So how does the front suspension reduce wobble? Because you have driven Suzukis, I've driven a Suzuki, and you have driven cars with solid front axles. And when you increase clearance, when you give it a lift, one thing that comes, even Nissan Patrols Y61 suffer from death wobble. So how has this one managed to counter that?
Okay, death wobble. Hey, Eric, that's a different topic. Okay, death wobble. How you manage? You see, there is one thing you need to do with the steering system of a vehicle.
Yes.
You need to make sure that the wheel of the vehicle travels in the direction that you are intending to. For you to do that, you need to build heavy and robust build ball joints, tie rods, and track end. And there's a joint there on the pitman arm. You need it very robust also. So therefore, for anybody who is suffering wobble, there are two scenarios. Your ball joints are worn out. Not the springs.
The ball joints.
The ball joints are worn out completely. There is a kingpin assembly on these ones. On the Suzukis, there are also kingpin assemblies, but they are not robust build like this one.
Yes.
So what happens when you put a bigger tire and then bigger rim, that's more weight to move. That unit was not meant to move such weights. So you're going to suffer premature wear and it's unable to control the wheel. So the wheel will wobble. Based on a deflection of the road, the wheel will stagger, kama mlevi.
So death wobble.
Yes, and it's connected to the other end. So when one wheel strike and road irregularity, you'll find that it will also affect the other one. You'll have both of them. And since your unit is not capable of handling such weights,
yes,
it will wobble for a while until you stop.
Good explanation.
Yeah.
So now, the owner of this car alikataa kukuja kwa camera.
Yeah.
So you are left with this car to really talk about it. It's a fantastic build, as you have seen.
Sana.
A lot of investment has gone into this.
Pure steel.
Yeah, that's steel plate, man. And the beautiful thing about this is that, you see, it's something that he can also do for you.
Yes.
So unaweza leta tu Wrangler yako
wanafanya hii kazi.
Wanafanya hii kazi.
Kabisa.
So their number iko hapo kwa description. So unaweza enda hapo uwapigie waambie niko na Wrangler nataka ikue.
Yes.
I want to build it to this spec. Because basically they have made this a Rubicon.
Kabisa.
You know, the owner was telling me they had to, after this weight, they had to rebuild the diffs.
Yes.
They had to rebuild the gearbox so that it would handle this weight.
Yes. Now on that, Erica, you will find that once you start bringing that you're moving more weights, you need to increase the torque of the vehicle.
Yes.
And how you can increase the torque of the vehicle, either you power up the engine or you give it through the diff.
Yes.
The transmission unit. The transmission unit is usually the simplest of these. What you do, you build a differential unit that has high torque, gives the vehicle high torque at the expense of the speed. So the vehicle you find that is a very not high, doesn't perform well in speeds. It's a very slow vehicle.
Yes.
And you have to do that on 3 diffs. The center diff,
the front,
the front and the rear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So guys, I think we are coming to the end of this particular review. And remember, we do pre-purchase, we offer pre-purchase inspection services.
Yes.
Whether in Nairobi and even now in Mombasa. Yes, in fact, we have a day every week that we do pre-purchase inspections in Mombasa.
Yes.
So unaweza book in advance, tuende tuangalie magari to make sure that you are buying safe and vehicles that are in good condition, and also vehicles that, you know,
in short, value for money.
In short, you're getting the value for your money.
Yes.
Sawa.
Yes.
Na kama unataka kuchangia towards production of this content, kuna link hapo chini, www.tinypesa.com/Okabi, and TinyPesa is a collection, is a money collection solution. So ukiwa nataka kitu inaweka do, ni kama till number, only that you do it with a link. And it's very easy, and it will get those to small. If you want to collect some money, unaweza tumia the TinyPesa setup. So tuendeshe gari Mose.
Lakini tuongelee kidogo hili kitu kidogo. Wenyewe wana import hizi pia. Wanaweza kuitishia hizi. So unajua kuna mtu anataka lamp peke yake.
By the way, hata wasi wa off-road.
Wanataka lamp maybe illuminate barabara.
Yes.
Rock closers pia, hizi mulitaja hizi eri.
Hizo ma
steps zenye zimetengenezwa zikakuwa rock closers hizi kuzuia gari yako isigongwe chini. Yeah.
So all these four-wheel drive accessories.
Yes. Yeah.
Wanaitwa Govish Enterprises. Wanaweza kuletea all these for purposely for Jeeps.
Yeah.
Si ndio?
Kabisa.